up, guys? Welcome to the Audacity Network and welcome to the Sit Down. Today, I have a special guest on the channel. Welcome to the show, Paul Elam, men's right activist. You have a YouTube channel, over 100,000 subscribers.
Yes, at an ear for men on YouTube.
And how long have you been doing this?
Since 1993.
Wow.
Actually, that was the year that Warren Farrell's Myth of Male Power came up, and reading that sort of turned my life around, and I've been doing this ever since.
Mm. And was there like a moment that red pilled you? Like, how did you get into the space?
Well, the book played a role in red pilling me, but what happened after that, I worked in a residential treatment facility, and I came into work after reading that book. In one of our staff meetings, I asked everybody why we were assessing every woman that came into our facility for whether or not she'd been a victim of domestic violence. And we were assessing all the men who came into our facility for whether or not they'd been perpetrators of domestic violence. And we weren't asking women whether they were perpetrators or men whether they were victims.
Wait, what type of facility was it?
Substance abuse treatment.
Oh, and so they would automatically ask the women if they were victims and
Yes.
ask the men if they were Is that because of the Duluth model, right?
That was the Duluth model, and
Yeah.
it also goes back to just sugar and spice narrative about women, and men are bad, women are good narrative that's been around is at least as long as Duluth or longer. But when I asked about it, I got hostility. I mean, there was outrage among my peers for even asking the question. And my first thought was, I think I'm over some kind of target here. I don't know what it is yet, but I'm going to find out. And I've been finding out ever since.
And so did you end up like leaving the facility, or
Yes.
how did that
I ended
play
up
out?
leaving the field
Oh, wow.
and doing my own thing. I just couldn't take it anymore because there was a lot more problems than that. And some problems not even gender related. The recidivism rates in chemical dependency treatment are abysmal, and lots of other reasons to leave. But my interest in men's issues took me into counseling men, and that's what I've been doing.
And what would you say are the common problems that men come to you with?
They've been screwed over by women for the
Yeah.
most part. I mean, I'm not casting dispersions here, but of the men I talk to, 98% of them, whatever life circumstances they're dealing with at the time, go back to decisions that they've made regarding women, getting married to the wrong women, getting the wrong woman pregnant, getting in a relationship with somebody who'll make false allegations, all these things, and not screening women. It goes back to that. But their drinking, their drugging, their depression, their suicidal ideation, all kinds of life problems. When we talk long enough, we get back to the women in their lives and what they were expecting. Guys think, I'm going to meet a girl and fall in love, and she's going to love me back, and we're going to go off happily ever after into the sunset. And then they find out that it doesn't really work that way. And it's devastating for them.
And you found that even men that are struggling with substance abuse, it's mostly women too.
Well, absolutely. I mean, a lot of guys drink over bad marriages.
Right.
They're miserable. They don't know what to do. They have children. If they get a divorce, they're worried about, sometimes the wife is abusive and the man won't leave because they don't want to leave the children with an abusive mother, and they already know the courts are going to give her custody. So they stay and they drink, or they drug, or they engage in other risky behaviors, or have affairs. Eventually they blow up and slap her or something like that. And then that sets problems into motions.
And do you think this starts for men from childhood? Like, where do you think this comes from? This, because we were talking about it earlier. Just the simping, like they just want to appease women all of the time.
Well, look at your average family, or people from my generation grew up in homes where it was an edict, you better make your mother happy.
Right.
If mother complains to father, you're in trouble, sometimes really abusive trouble. So it starts in early childhood, where father's off at work, they're left with the mother at home, they learn to please mom. They get manipulated. The child manipulates back, pleasing the mom, anything to make her smile. And that sets a behavioral pattern that they take into relationships. They go into their first year of school. It's all women. They have to please the teachers. their lives are shaped by women for the first 18 to 20 years
Mhm.
in almost all cases. And the men learn early, you've got to make her happy. If mama ain't happy, ain't nobody happy.
Mhm.
We didn't coin that by
Yeah.
accident.
Yeah.
It's true. So when you're conditioned to please women, that's
Mhm.
where your mindset is at.
Mhm.
Um, it carries into your relationships and it ends up making men very miserable.
So what we've talked about it before, but just for the audience, like, what is gynocentrism?
Good question. On paper, gynocentrism is just a system of beliefs and attitudes and rules that focus on the well-being of women over the well-being of men. Our attention and energy is focused on making women happy, keeping them safe, giving them what they want. It goes back, oh gosh, at least 1,000 years
Mhm.
to the advent of romantic chivalry, which is a big part of modern gynocentrism. Gynocentrism itself historically wasn't such a bad thing. If women weren't alive to have children,
Right. Yeah.
we would have been in trouble, and they had to be able to protect children and nurture them and get them to where they were self-sufficient. So there were a certain amount of gynocentrism was absolutely an imperative for the human species. But once romantic chivalry hit the mainstream throughout Europe and then eventually in the West, it was more than keeping women alive. It was about keeping that smile on their face
Mhm.
all the time. And if we fail, then there's a problem. And that's what led to a lot of simping.
Well, that's because that's kind of a new concept to me. You guys think that romantic shit, like romantic love, and I'm a little bit undecided on it.
Okay?
So I want you to convince me. Like, why is romantic love such a bad thing?
Because it puts unrealistic expectations
Okay.
on a relationship. Romance is about whining and dining. It's
Right.
about, and let's be honest, romance is about making women happy.
Hmm.
There's nothing in the romantic model that
That's
says a
true.
man has to be happy at all.
Yeah.
The romantic model says a man has to produce. He has to produce jewels. He has to produce nice things.
Right. There's no like, does she cook him dinner? It's
Well,
always, yeah.
there's some of that, but it's always sort of like, a millionaire gets a wife who takes a part-time job in a dress shop. And she says, here's my $200 to
Right.
contribute to the 10 million you have in the bank.
Hmm.
But back to the romantic thing,
Hmm.
look at the model of how proposals go in the West. Everybody has that image of their mind of a man down on his knee, bearing a gift, jewelry that's supposed to represent 3 months of his salary.
Mm.
It's all set up, it's all arranged in
Right.
advance. That's romance. Romance is laying rose petals at her feet. Romance is
Right.
talking to
It's
her.
worshiping women.
It is a worship thing. Now,
Yeah.
gee, what could go wrong there long term? If you start a relationship with that kind of unrealistic expectation, that only thing that matters is elevating her,
And
the
that's
only thing
why,
that matters
and
is her
that's why you get
happiness.
these women saying they fell out of love. It's because they
Absolutely.
came in with the expectation of romantic love.
And women aren't particularly romantic. There's another little flaw in that system, too. Men are.
Yeah.
Men are the romantic ones. I work with couples, I work with men post divorce. It's always the men that are devastated by it, the broken hearts. I mean, I see it affects women too, no doubt. But for most guys that I work with, by the time the divorce rolls around, she's doing well. Got a new boyfriend.
Right.
Probably had one before they ever broke up.
Yeah.
She monkey branched right out of it. And women tend to do their grieving while they're in the relationship, and then they're done. And then a guy is like, oh, it's over now. Then he starts
And you know
grieving.
what's crazy? Men will still talk highly about a wife that absolutely fucked them.
Yep.
Excuse my language, but like a guy will have been taken through the ringer of like divorce court, alimony, and they'll still find something positive to say about her. Where women could have a good guy and they'll absolutely trash him.
It's a lot worse than that in my experience.
Mhm.
I worked with a guy once that had been divorced for 8 years, and he was still acting like a puppy trying to be let into his ex-wife's life.
Mm.
And I've seen that happen over and over and over again. It's almost like they can't divorce.
Yeah.
Guys she'll have sex with one of his friends and then call him a week later and say, I need you to help me move. And he'll show up to lift
Yeah.
boxes and furniture. Men do this all the time. It's why I don't really I probably should. I get criticized for it. I don't have a lot of sympathy for men in these situations. They make horrible decisions based on crazy ideas. Anybody should be able to look at that image of a guy down on his knees bearing a diamond saying, this is how I want our life to be, as totally unsustainable.
Right.
But it doesn't even enter our minds. We're just like, oh no, she's smiling.
Because it's been programmed into us for like 1,000 years.
Exactly. And it is not a natural arrangement between men and women. Like I said, gynocentrism, certain amount of it is natural. And it's easy to understand how we got there.
Yeah.
But this romantic notion, matrimony, so they don't call it patrimony. Marriage, matrimony used to signify a time when a woman put aside being a child and became an adult responsible for a family. She had to produce, she had to do all kinds of things. She had to take care of children. She had real responsibilities and real work. And then when we brought romance into it, the object became, oh, you don't have to work. We just put a cushion under your butt and you can enjoy life that way.
Yeah, well, because that's what I would always hear is that we didn't have to work back in the day, but we used to live on farms. So I'm like, life was a billion times harder if you were a stay-at-home wife 100 years ago.
And I hear most of that crap from men who think somehow that there was this magical patriarchy in the past where women didn't work. Women worked brutally hard and had shorter lives because of it for thousands of years until we developed the technology to rescue them from that. And we've applied it all in just such an insane way. I mean, sorry, look at the state of women right now. What percentage of women are even marriageable? Right
3%
now.
Statistically, if you want no tattoos, no debt, and under the age of 35, I think.
Yes, and
there's a couple more they added into it, but it was like in the book of Numbers, like not overweight, no other kids.
3%.
Like, yeah.
And so it becomes a man's job. And here's the problem.
Just have to man up and marry these whores.
Yes, of course they do. That's the right thing to do. And that's what they've been doing, which is why, half of the marriages are failing. And then 70% of second marriages are failing. It's a failure of men in my book. They want to practice these unrealistic expectations. And I think they've got a sort of shame-based thing going on here. If we don't make women happy, we're not men. That's also tied into this.
Oh, wow. That's really true. I didn't think about that till you said it, but that's really true.
It is.
If we don't, because that was even during the Michael Knowles debate, that's what he said. I said, well, if she gets the wrong group of friends, she can leave if she does this. And then he's like, oh, well, you got to watch the friends. You got to watch the leadership. And so it's like putting all accountability for a marriage failing on the man.
Absolutely.
When sometimes like a chick she just wants to go. You can't do anything.
And most of the time, I mean, monogamy is a hard thing to maintain for both sexes.
Yeah.
It's tough. Women have easy outs. And if men don't make her happy, the first thing she's going to do is attack his masculinity. When she goes out and badmouths him, it'll be all things that undermine his status as a masculine man. He doesn't work hard enough. He doesn't pay enough attention to me. He doesn't do this. He's always doing that. These are things that shame men, and we buy into it instead of, treating her like a guy, which is what I recommend.
Okay. Explain that a little more. Treat her like a guy.
Same standards.
Yeah.
Guys will take shit from women that they would punch a man in the mouth for.
Right.
Constantly. They do that without thinking. And I'm not, before somebody says Paul Elam's recommending punching women in the mouth, I'm not recommending any such thing. But just the capacity to hear a crazy, unrealistic expectation, like I want a 3-carat emerald cut VS1 diamond for an engagement ring. Guys don't have the ability, or they should have the ability to say, the fuck out of here. Go buy one.
I did a show and a girl wanted a $200,000 engagement ring for an overweight, like 33-year-old woman. And I'm like, at least be like 22, and hot if you're going to ask for that. You know what I mean? Like, at least you got to be a 7 or a higher at least.
I've got a better idea. No ring.
Oof. Yeah.
No nothing.
Yeah.
We are in an age where I think it's okay for men to start telling women, you're responsible for your own happiness. If you need a piece of carbon mined by slave labor, a 12-year-old in Africa, to feel good about yourself, go buy one.
Right.
Women can work. They can produce.
Mm-hmm.
Guys won't do that because it makes them feel unmasculine.
Right.
And so it's a trap. Nobody's going to survive. And love is a funny thing. The romance stuff and infatuation, none of that is love. It never was love.
Mm-hmm.
Love comes 15, 20, 25 years into a relationship with somebody. And how do you get to that point where there's real intimacy and real love if one person's fawning over the other all the time? All it does is build resentment and entitlement.
Mm-hmm. So you got some pushback during our we did a panel a couple of weeks or not months ago maybe with some traditional conservatives on it.
Yeah, Tim and Andrew.
Yeah, and they were I think Tim offered some pushback because you said you didn't have a problem with women working.
I have a problem with women not working.
Okay. Tell me why.
Get it? Yeah. Gee, why should women have to work?
Well, because I think their argument would be that they should raise the children, and that's what's best for the kids.
Well, you know something? That's work too. I mean, if they're actually going to raise children and they're going to take care of a home and manage a home, I respect that. I don't have a problem with it, but I didn't need that from somebody. So why should I settle for somebody that can't carry their weight financially?
Right.
And the thing is, I had to make that decision first before I was ever in a position to look at this and say, I'm never going to be with a deadbeat woman again. She better show up with her purse and having a job or some sort of income, or we're not going to even get started here. I had to make that decision before it ever happened. Mm-hmm. And I'm happy to say I'm 22 years into a relationship I wouldn't trade for the world. But it wasn't because I got on my knees in front of her or threw flowers at her or told her how beautiful she was every 5 minutes. Mm-hmm. I don't need that. Mm-hmm. And I don't think anybody does. I think that all this stuff it's infantilizing when you treat women that way. You treat them like they can't accomplish anything, like they can't buy anything, they can't do anything. With all respect to Tim and Andrew, I think these are products of very emotionally insecure men that need a child to take care of, not a partner in life. I don't want a child to take care of. And sorry to say, you look at the population of women out there, average emotional intelligence is about 14 years old, no matter how old they are in real life, on a good day.
Well, yeah, actually, I tweeted that I didn't think women matured past like 17 at best.
That's pretty good.
Yeah. I think like the best are like 17, 18.
I've been with a couple that were like 4 or 5.
Yeah. Well, I don't see a problem with women working, especially when you consider that women, and that's what they'll say. They'll say, Pearl's a feminist. And I'm like, well, it doesn't change the world I'm in. Like, feminism won. I don't know what you guys want me to do. I can't change it. But what I meant by that, though, is if the kid's in public school, why can't she get a job? The kid's gone. I think what's public school, 7 hours a day? 6?
Yep.
And then I don't. When I was a kid, everyone did after school activities. So you would stay. We had practice at 3:30.
Right.
You were there until 5 or 6. You came home at 7.
but Oprah comes on it too.
But I'm like, what are you doing all day? It's not like we have air fryers now. You can make like a perfectly good meal in an air fryer in
Yes, you
45
can.
minutes. And it's like, it's not bad food either. It can be healthy and good for you. So, what are you guys doing all day?
Well, and a lot of guys are finding now they don't want women to cook for them. They're fine cooking for themselves or
Yeah.
cooking for others. I'm the cook in my home. I wouldn't have it any other way.
Yeah. Yeah. I said that on a podcast recently that men are better cooks than women now.
Well, you look at it, some people will say it's misogyny and women's oppression, but you look at all the, outrageously successful chefs
Oh,
in
men.
the world, they're all men.
Yeah. But then I'm like evil, you know. What?
That's why I'm here.
Yeah. What pushback have you gotten the last the last 20 years?
Oh God, I've lost count of the hit pieces in the
Yeah.
media. I mean, most of them started back in 10 years ago when we did our first international conference on men's issues in Detroit. Um, it wasn't too long after that the SPLC decided we're a hate group, that A Voice for Men was. So eventually they listed us as a hate group. It's really interesting. And I turned over A Voice for Men to Robert Brockway, a guy out of Australia, a great men's rights activist there that is doing a bang-up job running it now. And I just handed it over to him and started XY Crew, which is a men's groups that we're doing online, and we do real-world events. And the SPLC said, okay, A Voice for Men's not a hate group anymore, but XY Crew is.
Wow.
Simply because it changed ownership. I've had that pushback. I've had death threats. I've had people write me emails. Oh my God, a woman wrote me once, and I don't know if it was true or not. She said, my husband listened to you and he blew his brains out. Thanks for killing my husband. I get stuff like that fairly regularly.
So what keeps you going? Like, why do you keep doing it? If you get, because you could
Maybe I'm
you could-
nuts. I don't know. That's part of the problem, that I don't know when to quit. I think what keeps me going is that I was just never a guy that liked injustice.
Yeah.
And what I see happening in family courts now, this is why I get so frustrated with these guys that are out there just saying, marry the hoe. I'm like, are you crazy?
You saw my Trent
Well,
Horn.
yeah. Marry the hoe. Just no matter what she does, go back and redouble your efforts and take care of her and be kind to her and give her everything she wants, or you're not a man. This is the underlying theme
Yeah,
behind
you're not
all
a
of
real
it.
man if you don't marry.
You're not if you don't marry, and if she's not happy.
You don't continue your bloodline.
And then these guys, we get them in family courts, and the family courts are they're the biggest rollback of civil rights since Jim Crow in this country. The way they just step on families, destroy them. They have an opportunity in family courts, if they were doing their job, to help a family restructure post-divorce, to keep the relationships intact with the children and both parents, and to make rulings according to what is really in the best interest of the child. They don't do that at all. They destroy children in family courts, and they destroy the fathers and ultimately the mothers by selling them a bill of goods. Women end up much more likely to be below the poverty line post-divorce than they are while they're married. Their lives deteriorate. The children's lives go downhill. The men's lives deteriorate. And we find that normally there's a 4-to-1 ratio of suicide between men and women. When you're talking about divorce and breakup of long-term relationship, it goes to 11-to-1. That's how bad things are out there, and that bothers me.
Mm-hmm. Well, and that's the thing. There's never any push for reform before men get married. It's always just man up and take the risk anyway, and the risk is worth the reward. But none of these guys have seen the other side of divorce and what happens to these men. What are some of the worst horror stories that you have witnessed over the years?
The suicides. I have talked to several men that ultimately killed themselves because of family court issues. Other things, children getting kidnapped, taken overseas, men chasing them, trying to find their children. just the depression that goes with that, and the fact that the system does not care. The people that create this won't do anything about it. Almost every divorce is a nightmare story. Guys get financially eviscerated. They're often the cases in family courts are based on false accusations. The first thing family law attorneys do, particularly with women, is saying, "I think he hit you, didn't he?" Uh, and until they get that yes, and then once that goes out, the police will investigate. Most of the time, they find there hadn't been an assault here. There's no charges, but by that time, the court has the accusation, and they issue ex parte restraining orders and everything else just based on the accusation. No proof whatsoever. It is amazing what they do. They pluck guys from their home, throw them in jail, treat them like garbage, tell them they can't come within 200 yards of their own children, and with nothing, no proof of anything.
Is that why the lawyers pander? Oh, that just made a lot of, because sometimes I'll talk to lawyers and I just feel like they're lying. And
They are.
I don't know why, but I just like, there's one that replied to me recently when I said men, like in general, are better parents. And he was like, well, no, you don't always know that. Da, da, da. And I was just like, yeah, but you can look at abuse stats and you can come to a conclusion. I'm not saying it's 100%. Some men are terrible dads, just
Sure.
like some women. But I always find it odd when someone's arguing with me about a fact, and it just, the way they react to that is just very strange, I guess.
Well, you always have to remember that between the judge and the two attorneys that are involved in any divorce, these people play golf together.
Oh.
They're
So if everyone knew how bad family court was, they would look bad too because they've been facilitating this stuff.
absolutely.
And the lawyers are in on it too. So you can't even really trust what they're saying. I mean, sometimes maybe you can, but I'm just thinking
It's rare.
Yeah, because they're the ones telling the women to accuse the men of abuse.
And what's the first thing, one of the first things that family law attorneys do when they get a new client? I need to see all your assets. We want to see what you're worth. And they calculate how much of that stuff they can get before the divorce is over.
So let's just say someone's worth $100,000, how would that?
They will take the case, bleed that money down, and when the money is out, they'll say, okay, we got a settlement now.
Oh, and
Between the two.
Oh, so they're trying to get the people's net worth to zero, basically. Take all the money they can and then make a settlement. And since it's usually the guy's money, because
Right?
more often than not, oh, that's why they're lying.
This is all a scam.
Oh,
All of it.
that makes I could not figure out why he was lying. 'Cause I don't know how to describe it. It's just like a feeling, I guess. But I'm like, they're hiding something. The way they're answering and responding to these facts is not honest. And I notice it from the tradcons a lot but their ego investments, their religion. So like if these, that's why they do it. I think, anyways, they love their religion, but because they look bad if people knew what they did behind closed doors.
Absolutely. That's my belief. And this is, I couldn't prove this in a study, but I can tell you over and over again, the men I've counseled, they suddenly came to some kind of arrangement precisely when the money was running out.
Wow.
And I don't think that's a coincidence. I think that family law attorneys are like ambulance chasers.
What are ambulance? Sorry, I don't get
Oh,
that. Sorry.
Personal injury attorneys that, hang out in hospital ERs and find clients who have been in automobile wrecks, and here I can make you some money. And those
It's just
guys,
kind of a scummy profession, family court, because
family courts are scummy. They're horrible places.
yeah, but I'm even thinking family law, because unless you're like maybe a men's rights attorney, that sort of thing, it's like odds are you have to screw over men to get paid.
And you don't want a men's rights attorney or anybody identifying that. Here's the problem. The courts hate that. When attorneys come in and act like their male clients actually have rights and
Right.
there's a constitution and they should be treated this way, courts don't want any of that. They want compliance. I can't tell you how many guys were asking their attorneys, why aren't you saying this? Why aren't you doing that? You know,
Oh my gosh, I've heard that in the UK too, where they said their attorneys don't even tell them the right thing to do.
yeah, they don't.
Yeah.
It's like, why aren't we fighting this way or that way?
Mhm.
Oh, don't worry about it. This is the way it's done, that sort of thing. And of course, it bleeds the family dry of money. And then once that's done, it's like, okay, we're done now.
Oh, that makes so I could not figure out why. And the judges have to be in on it too. So, do you think it's just gynocentrism that makes them do this or the love of money?
I think gynocentrism helps, but I mean, they're attorneys. It's the money.
Yeah. Yeah, okay. Because sometimes I wonder if I don't know, because there was a switch that clicked for me when I was interviewing men and women would always say they were abused, right? And someone in my comments section said, ask if they filed a police report. And I couldn't believe none of them did.
Of course they
And
did.
yeah, and that was when I was like, oh, these bitches are lying. None of them are telling the truth. Because then I would, it's like you ask one question, because your natural reaction when someone says they're abused, I think it's like an empathetic, for me anyway, was why would you lie about that? I would just believe them. But then I would ask like two or three questions. Like one chick said that she was thrown down a flight of stairs by her ex-boyfriend, right? That sounds pretty bad,
That's
right?
pretty rough.
Yeah, 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 yeah. And then I asked, I was like, okay, what led up? And someone in my comment section was like, ask her what led up to the fight. And so she's like, oh, I wouldn't leave his house. So what I think happened based on the way she answered was she wouldn't leave his house. She was making a scene with his kid there, and he was pushing her to get out, and she fell down the flight of stairs because she wouldn't leave.
Yep.
And
Not surprising at all.
yeah, and so I talked to other guys, and they're like, "Oh, my ex-girlfriend refused to like." They've all have a very similar. Maybe there wasn't a police involved, but you could ask guys, and they'll say, "Oh yeah, women do that all the time. They refuse to leave. They'll make a scene."
Another part of that scenario is guys that are in relationships with women that are psychologically and emotionally very abusive, which like borderline personalities are. They can be horrendously
Yeah,
abusive people. A guy will take that abuse for years, and then one day he can't take it anymore and he slaps her. That's all the world will ever see is the moment he
correct.
slapped her. They won't pay any attention to anything that led up to it. Nothing else matters. He hit a woman. Time to go to jail and take all your stuff. And the guy says, yeah, I did it. And nobody cares that he'd been provoked for years and
Yeah,
abused for years.
or they'll hit first,
Yep.
and then one day that they get slapped back.
Yep. And the police will arrest the guy in that every time.
Yeah. Well, so I guess my question is in family court, do you think they know that the women are lying?
They
Or
don't care.
oh, they don't care.
They
It's
know
just
that they
easier for
know the
them.
whole thing is corrupt. Steve Baskerville wrote about this very well. They know precisely what they're doing in there. They
Mm.
know exactly what's going on. They know the family's being fleeced for all the money. They know the children are being destroyed. They know that
And they just don't
the
care
they don't care.
because they're
It,
making money.
it's their this is their routine. This is what they do, and family courts that I know of don't have cameras in them. There's no real appeals process for family courts. You just whatever the judge rules, that's it. So they have impunity and they can do anything they want, and they do.
Right.
The only thing that's going to save family courts in this country is bulldozers.
Old.
Mow them down and rebuild. It's the only thing that will ever save them. It's just too corrupt.
Do you think that's possible?
Not really.
Yeah, I don't either.
No, I wish it was.
I wish they could record it and make it public. I think that would help because I
It would
think when
help a lot.
put the light on something unjust, then people start to speak out and they actually that's why sometimes these trad cons I'll do debates with them and I'm just like, why don't you come with me and go tell the men that served their country and got divorced, raped, got their children taken that they're not a real man. Go tell them. Go ahead. That it's their fault their marriage ended.
Well, it won't be anything they haven't heard 1,000 times already.
Yeah.
The world is so gynocentric. One of the biggest problems that I have with guys going through divorce is that their own families turn on them.
Oh my gosh, that's the. I interviewed one guy. His whole family.
Yep.
His whole family believed he was an abuser for like. They came around like 5 years later, but yeah, she got his
A
whole
little bit
family.
late for that.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I've seen it happen 1,000 times. Guys, their own fathers, their own mothers turn on them and side with the abusive woman. It's amazing. That is when you take fundamental biological gynocentrism, which arguably is a necessity, and you turn it into that, you've got a crazy world. And I don't see what there is to stop it at this point, other than, eventually the society will collapse,
Mm-hmm.
and that'll be the start of something new and maybe a little bit better. But until then, I don't see anything changing. It's too profitable and it's too easy for people.
Mm-hmm.
If people can turn on their own children because a woman said he hit me or he was mean to me,
Mm-hmm.
man, we're a long way from being able to fix anything.
And they never ask. Even the Michael Knowles interview, he didn't ask her any freaking. I'm like, guys, you don't ask any questions.
I think Michael is challenged. I'm sorry.
You think he's like mentally challenged?
Well,
He's like a smart guy, but
well, simps are some of the smartest people you'll meet, some of the
yeah.
dumbest people. It's not about intelligence
Yeah.
or culture or race or ethnicity or religion or anything. Simping, it runs through the veins of Western men, period. And then you get people like Knowles will be like, yeah, marry a hoe. It's okay. And I don't think he would let, I wonder if Michael would let a saved pedophile watch his children.
Never.
If you're using his logic.
Yeah, but he thought it was wise to bring a woman that used to get men to cheat her on married men.
Yes.
Like, she's going to end up fucking one of the, sorry about the language, but I'm a swearer, I don't know. But, like, she's going to end up having sex with one of the married guys, and they're going to be like, what happened? How did this?
I can't believe she did that.
Shock and awe. And then I'm the bad guy for pointing it out.
Absolutely. And that is gynocentrism. Modern gynocentrism is you cannot speak ill of any woman.
Or even
period.
Question, why did you raise your prices after you were saved? That seems a bit odd.
It does, doesn't it, for somebody that's turned away from those ways?
Yeah, freaking A. So what, you said you think that men can spot out red flags pretty easily in women.
If they'll own the responsibility to do it.
Mm-hmm.
Women's bullshit is so open and on display.
Okay.
You can't not see it if you're looking for it.
Okay.
I tell men all the time, you have to test women. See if she's even this vindictive. Just the tiniest amount of vindictiveness early on tells you that vindictiveness will be multiplied by 1,000,000 down the road once the infatuation's over and you're in a real relationship and it goes south. You're going to see vindictiveness out of that person. But men look at women and figure out, is she attracted to me or not? Mm-hmm. And if she is, and I'm attracted to her, that's all I need to know. Mm-hmm. And then down the road, they're writing me or booking with me saying, I don't know what happened. Mm-hmm. It's a terrible problem, but you have to look. You have to look. How does she handle money? What's her debt like?
Debt, okay.
Yes. I want to know her credit score. Mm. I want to know how much debt she has. I want to know her spending habits, her interests. I want to know how she handles pressure. I want to know how she handles no. And here's the problem, as we've been discussing, gynocentrism means there is no no.
Right.
And so men have to actually rebel against all their life's programming to do one simple thing, to tell her no to something.
So how would a guy test early on for vindictiveness? Because one thing I hear from men is that after the marriage, after the kids, the women change.
And I think they do after kids, mm-hmm. some. But again, I never did buy she was an angel. and then one day she was a demon spawn. Mm-hmm. I don't buy that. Mm-hmm. It's there. They didn't test her. They didn't push. look at, ask her or tell her no to something. If she wants to go see a movie, just say, no, I'm not into it tonight. And then you watch very carefully what she does. Does she get huffy about it? Can she handle a no? Can she handle a no to not spending money?
Mm.
Does she want something? I want a 3-carat diamond, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
No, that's not going to happen.
Mm-hmm.
What does she behave like then? She'll tell you who she is.
Mm-hmm.
She'll show you. Does she feed into the idea of a relationship where a guy's running around trying to make her happy all the time, like a trained seal, clapping his flippers, trying to get a piece of fish? Is that the setup she wants? Because if that's what she wants and that's what you're providing, there's two problems. There's her and there's you.
Mm-hmm.
But I just don't buy these guys that say, oh, she perfect, just everything. And then we got married and all of a sudden she was a different person.
Even though he's not a real man, if he doesn't pay for the date or like plan the date, it's like, well, is it that big of a deal? Like go Starbucks, it's like $10. You know?
No, and gosh, I think there's enough even traditionalists left in me that I would spring for Starbucks or something like that. But once it's established that you're not just two ships passing in the night,
Mm-hmm.
men need to sit down with women and have a talk about money, how we're going to approach this. Because if it means you think I'm here to treat you like a 4-year-old and to take you to the candy store every day, that's not going to happen.
Mm-hmm.
And guys need to be able to say that. 99.9% of them never will.
No, well, that's one.
And then they say they don't know what happened. I'm not buying it.
Well, that's one thing I disagreed with trad cons is the women working. They think women should just never work. And I
Try that with 9% inflation, sure.
Well, the reason I came to this conclusion was I saw 2 job postings. One was a fireman for 22 an hour, and one was it was like a diversity and inclusion officer for 22 an hour. And I thought, like, if you're as a family, one of you has to work, it would kind of make sense for her to. Because, I mean, what, he's going to risk his life every day, or you get to go sit in an air-conditioned office doing nothing for 8 hours? You can't do that. It's not like working at a farm 100 years ago.
Now, I think you make perfect sense.
Yeah.
How far would that go with the average woman?
Oh, no, they would get so mad.
It would end right then and there.
Yeah, well, and I think it's different if women, if we came to the table with at least youth and maybe 6 kids, like back it would make sense for us to stay home. But it's like we're offering 1 to 2 kids. They're in public school. We're getting married around 30. So why is there no compromise? It doesn't make sense to me.
And I think this goes back to TradCon men really getting things confused. They want children, not women. They want somebody to take care of and I think in their mind, somebody they can control. They're put off by women who really are independent. I mean, every feminist is a strong, independent woman,
Right.
yeah, until the check arrives. But there are actually strong, independent women out there who make perfectly suitable partners for a guy that's screening out all the garbage. But I'm just, I don't buy that. Don't work.
Yeah.
This is not a world in which, one, financially, it's really hard, especially these days, to not have 2 salaries for most people. I mean, if the guy's making $1 million a month, it doesn't matter whether she works. But for the most part, it's needed. Only these guys, these tradcons are just holding on to something that disappeared like 40 years ago.
Yeah, well, and then they want you to get on their team, but they lost.
Yeah.
What have they preserved?
And those guys, guess what happens too? Another part of this that has to be considered. You take on somebody and you become their financial benefactor and you're taking care of their life. When the relationship ends and you end up in court, guess what the court sees? She's used to being provided for.
Alimony.
The very thing that they set up is exactly what the family courts are going to perpetuate. And of course, a lot of these idiots will tell you, well, if you're a real man, she won't go to family court. I mean, and I don't know what to do with that level of delusional thinking, except say, fine, just go ahead and do it, dude. Marry her, take care of her, and then when taking care of her is not enough, And the average woman will file for divorce at 7 or 8 years, which happens to magically coincide with guys' max income potential. Right when they're at peak salary, that's when the divorce is filed. You want to set that up? Go for it. I could use a business.
Well, and like even if you look at conservatives, like the older generation and the younger, half of them are still divorced. Like I think it's mean the way they sell their religion as an anecdote and to like family court. I just think it's mean and it's not correct. Look at Steven Crowder. He had a very different tune like 10 years ago. And I like Crowder. Like I have a lot of empathy for what happened to him, but it's like 10 years ago.
I think what happened to him gave him a little bit of empathy too, because he ended up apologizing to the men's rights guys for the bad mouthing them over the years. And sadly, this is what it takes. And with all respect, I like Crowder too, like his work. But look at it. Until it happened to him, he didn't give a damn.
Yeah.
And that's what I see in all of these trad cons. Oh, it's not happening to me. It's not my problem. Mm-hmm. Most selfish, self-absorbed people. And this is why I think those guys are really more inclined to want the little traditional housewife that will take care of everything for them and doesn't think or talk too much.
It'd be fine if women could do that. It's like
or if they would.
Yeah, they would. Like, what women are you guys meeting? I've interviewed 1,000. I can maybe count 2. Like 2 out of 1,000. Those are not good odds.
I went through 25 potential partners before I met my current. I had to reject. And a lot of them rejected me. It's the moment I said, financially, you got to show up and carry your weight. They were done in that moment. Absolutely done. And that's okay because I finally, because I wouldn't settle for anything less, I kept doing that until a woman said, well, yeah, that makes sense. Mm-hmm. Like, oh, okay. We can talk more.
Yeah.
But these guys don't want that. That's fine by me. But the age of needing a woman in the home to raise a child or to raise 2 kids, 1.5 kids, whatever, that's just not even thoughtful.
Well, and again, they always think we're talking. I'm like, I'm not attacking if your wife wants to be. And I have a friend that did that. She's a stay-at-home mom. She has 5 kids. And that, I mean, she works. They have chickens. She does all the stuff around the house. Or I meant like works at home. I got nothing against that, but let's not pretend women are doing that.
Yes, let's go. June Cleaver died. That's over.
Yeah.
This is not the life. These women are hitting the gym and doing enjoyable things. They're Pilates, and it's a life of a lot of leisure and a lot of self-care. And man, I would suggest to any guy, if what you want is a woman who's obsessed with herself, maybe you ought to look in the mirror and ask yourself some questions.
What do you think when tradcons say that when we say this, that we're just submitting to feminism?
I think that's a cheap out. Just because I think that women should carry the weight financially doesn't make me a feminist any more than speaking English makes me a feminist, because feminists speak English too. It's an absolutely bullshit comparison. It is 2024. The economy, they rigged the economy to need a tax base of 2 people working in relationships. This was done by design a long time ago. Those days are over for the average person. If you've got a ton of money, you can beat the system. But for most people, it's not a doable arrangement. It's just not going to work.
My least favorite one, I think influencers get these super big heads. They're like, everyone become an influencer. I'm like, how are we going to keep the lights on? I had this conversation. I like Sneeko, but I had this conversation with him when I interviewed him last. And he was like, well, everyone should become an influencer. And I'm just like, okay, well, electricity, factor, like your phone.
Water.
Yeah. I'm like, I don't know if that'll work, but.
No. But going back to I've had that over the years too on several subjects. Oh, you sound like a feminist. Well, if what I'm saying is making sense, then either true or it's not, regardless of what people think it sounds like.
Mm-hmm.
I think women should also practice ultimate accountability for everything in their lives, which is the most non-feminist idea that has ever existed.
Mm-hmm.
But if guys need to say, oh, he's just emulating feminists to feel better about what they're doing, fine by me.
Yeah. So, in the recent Diverting Hate document that was funded by the Department of Homeland Security, the female authors expressed concern over anyone calling men simps or referring to male behaviors as simping. They say simping is really just another word for love, kindness, love and kindness towards women, and that people who don't want to do that are being radicalized. I'm going to read this article to you.
Sure.
Stop simping. How misogynistic influencers humiliate women to discourage sympathy. A disconnecting trend, or a disconcerting trend, has surfaced within the manosphere of YouTube, characterized by a series of videos where men proudly proclaim to stop simping. Through public humiliation of women, they demonstrate how not sympathizing with, showing too much attention for, or otherwise being submissive to women can lead to the actual harassment and bullying of women while providing them a false sense of power. This phenomenon is linked to the theory of gynocentrism and fueled by the belief that men often prioritize women at the expense of their own well-being. Simp is sometimes used as a derogatory term to troll men and extend any positive expression or behavior towards women, particularly kindness, in exchange for some action, usually romantic interest. Simping can be used in the lieu of standing, which to say someone is an extreme fan of something. Gynocentrism, originally describing a dominant focus on women, in theory or practice, has been manipulated by some to be that societal chivalry and white knight behavior prioritizes women over other groups. Men going their own way, MGTOW, for example, identifies itself as a reaction against the perceived misandry of gynocentrism. Why do you think the government is so obsessed with micromanaging men's minds and behaviors when they simply want to avoid traditional yoke and go their own way? Do you think the government might have concerns about the demographic collapse we're seeing in marriage and birth rates, or do you think there is some other reason?
I think there's both. I think the government probably is concerned about those things. I know if you look at countries like Japan, they're in trouble. South Korea is in trouble right now with birth rates. But this also blends with cultural gynocentrism that we have now, because what that said, if you reduce it to just to the basics, is that if you don't simp, you hate women. If you don't grovel, then you're a misogynist. If you don't fawn over women, then you're not a man. This is the same basic principle we've been sitting here talking about for a few minutes. Government's concerned? Yeah, because if the preponderance of men went red pill, there would be real trouble. And red pill thinking is growing. It's happening. I mean, there's content creators like you and a bunch of others out there now and even mainstreaming these ideas. And I think they are concerned about it. But I also know that this is, when you have feminist academicians and you get government money, you're going to get studies like that and papers like that, regardless of whether or not the government's concerned about it. Mm-hmm. But of course, if their plan is to do something about it through something like this, all they're going to do is create more of it. Because I hear that, and the first thing I want to do is rebel. It's like, oh, so I have to, and I love how they conflated simping with sympathy. Yeah, I don't know if you caught that as you were reading. They want to say that if you don't simp, you're unsympathetic. I think I'm very sympathetic to women. I do. I think they've gotten a raw deal by being infantilized, and they've been coddled to the point of not even being able to think rationally about many topics because of what we've enabled in them, what men have done to enable them. I have compassion about that, and I hope it changes someday. But this is just simply trying to conflate sympathy with simping, and another way to try to shame men into not expressing what's really on their mind, and it's not going to work.
And I don't think it's kind to women to lie. And
No.
that's what I realized is all these guys are just liars.
Well, the thing is, that's the social contract with women now. You
Yeah.
have to lie to them.
Yeah.
Every woman is beautiful. No women are fat and ugly. No women are hoes. No women are unfit for marriage. You've got to tell women how great they are. You have to be very much girl power. And that's just the social contract now. That's what Michael Knowles, all these clowns, this is what they're doing. They're just following the gynocentric script. And they're actually claiming, in some cases, like a Daily Wire, to sort of be edgy about this stuff. They're not edgy. These guys are down on their knees with Jules, holding them up, all of them,
Yeah.
doing this. They're just doing it differently than it's been done in the past, but it's the same thing.
Even the fact they interviewed Nala before they interviewed you, it's like you have 22 years of experience in men's advocacy, men's rights, and they put on a porn star before you. Really?
Oh, those guys won't even acknowledge I exist.
Yeah.
And they can't. It would. I don't expect. I mean, I was telling you earlier. I reached out to Jordan Peterson, at least through his intermediaries,
Yeah.
and never got a response. I reached out in other places. These guys won't even acknowledge if you're doing real red pill stuff as a man, they will not acknowledge you exist because they can't argue with you and they know it.
I know. Even sometimes I get opportunities and I feel like other people should get them before me. And I think they should. Like sometimes, even when I went there, I was like, there's so many guys that have been doing this for 20 plus years, but they want to talk to me, the woman. And I'm like, why don't you guys go talk to the actual men that have been literally, and I'm thankful for the opportunity. So I'm not trying to knock it, but it's just like, I'm like, some of these guys have been doing this for 20 years. Why aren't they in here? Why aren't you talking to the guys that have lived this,
I would love to hear their answer to that, but it's not going to come. And I honestly think, I mean, it may even sound a bit overinflated, but I really think they're scared. I don't think they want to face a guy who's ready to challenge their ideas, somebody that's been doing this a long time and who understands the topic very, very well. I don't think they want any part of that at all.
Well, and they would be assholes. They would be absolute. If they had to say what, sometimes when I was talking to him, I'm like, I want you to tell a man that has been lied to about the paternity of his kid. Tell him that he's wrong for getting a divorce. Go say that to his face. Tell him he's a feminist. Go tell the military members that are coming home from deployment to their wife robbing them and stealing their kids. Tell them that they just weren't man enough. Tell them. Go ahead.
Yeah.
Tell them what they could have done better. But they can't.
They're not going to do that.
No, they read a couple studies. They think they're smarter than they are.
Well, and they have a lot of it is ideological. They're every bit as ideological as feminists because their logic always breaks down when it comes to the marital argument and to divorce. They have no argument. There is no argument to tell a guy that's raised a child for 3 years and then found out the child wasn't his. What do you tell that guy? There's nothing you can tell him except try to take care of yourself. I'm sorry this terrible thing happened to you. But no, instead of that, from these guys, they would get, just man up, bro. That child needs a parent, and you're there. So just, don't get divorced.
Well, why didn't you just picked the wrong woman. Which, okay, he might have. But but a lot of women have picked the wrong men. They're not enslaved for 18 years. But both genders pick the wrong person often. Like that's a normal thing.
We're very good at that in the West.
Yeah.
Picking the wrong people.
So do you think it's always been like this, simping?
No. I would say William IX, Duke of Aquitaine, was the world's first simp. He was the guy that put an image of his mistress on his shield to go into battle. Mm-hmm. And he was all about romance. He was the one who inspired his granddaughter and great-granddaughter, I believe her daughter and granddaughter, to commission troubadours to spread the romantic message throughout the
What are
medieval
troubadours?
poets and songwriters to
Okay.
go out and extol the virtues of romantic love throughout the European courts. And that's how it got filtered into the mainstream. That's what happened. So we do have an original simp. His name is William.
So basically, before that, it was arranged marriages, right?
Yep.
And then this guy came
And it
out.
continued for a long time to be arranged marriages, but it eventually was phased out as romance took a foothold in male-female relations, and people began to say, oh, this is elevated. Then it gave them permission to pursue raw, base feelings, infatuation, sexual urges into the marital contract. But before that, yeah, it was arranged marriages. And arranged marriages still work 100 times better than romantic ones.
So it was basically that this guy, so who was the woman he was simping for? Who's this chick?
I don't know.
Oh,
I've read on it as just his mistress is the only thing. That's a question I would pose for Peter Wright.
So he was married, and then was he married? This guy?
I think so.
And then he ditched the marriage for and so he created romantic love.
Well, he popularized that notion, especially among the people who followed him, and it put him, interestingly enough, because we hear a lot of romantic drivel from people out of the church, his actions put him in conflict with the church. I think it almost got him excommunicated.
Oh, no way.
Yeah, because he was, in effect, worshiping women.
Right, instead of God.
Yeah, there's a difference between the two.
Do you know what I was thinking about? So conservatives want people to wait till they're married to have sex, right? And they want traditional relationships to return. But they're not really giving Christians the tools to do that, because I think people lose their virginity at like 15, 16 years old. So it's like, if you're not encouraging people to marry that young, or even, okay, we want to say 18, fine, 18.
Right.
But what do you think is going to happen? Like, people aren't going to wait till they're now 30 to have sex.
No. Well,
so it's like, if you're not putting together maybe some arranged marriage or really pushing like young marriage, what do you think is going to happen?
Well, what's going to happen is what's happening, which is marriages fail. The relationships fail. I mean, they're chasing 1950, and that toothpaste is out of the tube, and you're not going to put it back in.
Yeah.
That's not going to happen.
Birth.
But instead of telling young men and teaching young men discernment, they do not teach discernment with young men. They teach them, please the woman until she accepts you. They're not saying screen her. I mean, these are in churches.
They can't even definitively say don't date a porn star. They can't even definitively, like, come on. A porn, really? You can't. I'm not saying.
But
like,
she's saved.
I'm like, really? That's such a low bar. Really? We can't even get the bar. Has not done porn. And then they'll say, but men watch porn. I'm like, well, the women aren't fucking them. What are they supposed to do? Like, I wish I thought of that the other day.
Well,
like, you know, if they're not, the women don't want to get married young. We have the choice to. We don't choose it. So it's like, the women don't want to sleep with them when they're young until they're like 30. I've heard that's when guys, like, dating life changes.
Yep.
What are they supposed to do in the meantime?
Well, I think it's probably good advice to tell young men that porn can make changes to your brain and affect you. It's not the best thing in the world, but again, they'll teach the guy incessantly about don't do porn, don't do this, don't do that. When it comes to women, do this, get a great job, work hard, please her, become an attractive man, and all that. And not one word about her character comes into this at all. And that'll come right out of the pastor's mouth, too. You see this in Christian counseling all the time. It's absolutely insane. They are so warped by gynocentrism.
Well, my point isn't that porn changes their brain. It was more that I don't think it's the same thing. A guy watching porn as a woman being an absolute
Of course
whore.
not. It's a ridiculous comparison. But, I mean, this is where their brains go.
Yeah.
When you can't add 2 and 2 and get 4, you've got to come up with a way to imagine that the answer is 5. And, oh, well, doing porn, it's all the same. No, it's not.
Yeah.
It's like doing drugs and selling drugs are 2 different things.
Right. Right.
But I understand under the principle of salvation that we're all sinners, we're all fallen. We come before God as sinners, and none of us measure up, and so we're not to condemn each other. But again, I go back to the analogy that, okay, if you're really going to take that to the extreme, then you don't have a problem with a saved pedophile watching your kids while you're out of town. You don't have a problem with a drug addict who's like been off drugs for 32 days, taking care of your home and watching your property. No, it's not a call to be stupid. And in all those other cases, those Christian people would get it. Oh, yeah, I don't want a pedophile watching my kid. No, I don't want a guy with a history of burglary taking care of my home.
They want to whore around their husband.
But it's like, oh, she used to be a prostitute. That's not the same.
You know what's funny? I'll tell you a story. I met a guy who said that the DARE program, they would bring in like ex-drug addicts to talk to them. And I guess one of them used to sell drugs at this guy's high school. Like, you guys are so stupid.
They also found that with the DARE program, I'm going to get on that podium for a moment with the DARE program, that when you went in to try to persuade kids not to do drugs, they ended up doing more drugs.
Yeah, you're like telling them what about the drugs.
Yeah, you've got an adult in there saying, don't do this. What do you think's going to happen with an adolescent?
Yeah, I know. Same with sex ed. It's like, what do you guys? Maybe the school should just let the parents do that.
Yeah, you think?
Yeah, but it's women teaching.
But it's women teaching, and we need to change that. If I could change anything, it would be I would have 70% male teachers in primary education.
Yeah, I agree. This idea that women are more nurturing is the hardest thing to beat out of people. Everyone thinks I'm so evil because I say that, but I'm like, guys, I just noticed that everything that women said we were better at, whether it's like femininity, nurturing, whatever, like there was never any data to prove it.
Nope. And it's not true. I think women are probably more nurturing with their own children when they're very young than another person would be with their children. But nurturing, generally speaking, in a relationships require some nurturing. And women suck at it, in my experience. They're just terrible at it. They don't have it to give, most of them.
Yeah.
You're very lucky if you find one that does. So, I mean, and of course I say it, that makes me a misogynist too, but it is what it is. That's my experience.
I am a misogynist.
Yes, I like being a misogynist. That was my original handle when I first got started, was the Happy Misogynist. That was my first website.
Well, I think it makes you, if you're a little misogynistic, you treat your husband and your father with a little bit more respect because you view them as superior. So I don't think it's really a bad thing. But, you know, the way they frame it today is it's hating women. But I don't think I think that men in general are superior to women. They're just better than women at everything.
They're stronger.
Yeah. So I don't. No, but everyone gets mad when I say that, so I don't know.
Well, again, you've broken the rule of gynocentrism. You could, now, if you got online and you said women are superior, they can do anything men can do it better and do it in heels, that's presidential talk. That's how our presidents talk.
Yeah.
That's what we want to hear. And anybody that doesn't toe that line, bad pearl.
Well, and I'm like, guys, I'm like, men have Elon Musk. We have Kim Kardashian. So I'm like, these are our billionaires. What are we doing? We have Kylie Jenner. She's selling makeup. Like, I mean, it's cool, but we're going to pretend that they're the same entrepreneurs as Bill Gates, Elon Musk, Steve Jobs. Really? This is what we have to offer?
Donald Trump.
Yeah. What do you think that romantic chivalry is accepted in church today? And if yes, what effect do you think that has on relationships between Christian men and women?
I think it's mandated. in churches today. I don't think it's just part of the deal. It's like if you don't subscribe to it, romantic chivalry is everything. It's why we have churches doing date night crap.
Oh
It's I got into a long-term relationship, so I quit dating.
yeah.
Don't want to date, but it's all about recreating that romantic buzz that they had early on in the relationship, which one you're not going to recreate. Uh, Infatuation fades and it's done. It
Mhm.
happens in every relationship. But it's all about getting a man. When we say date night, this is about running out and spending money on her and doing things to make her feel feminine and to make her feel attended to and what have you. That's what dating is for. That's the romantic model of
Mhm.
dating. So when they're selling date night from the pulpit, you know that you've got a model of romantic chivalry underpinning everything. And it's why I've noticed, I've seen I even quit attending my men's group in my church because there'd be 25 guys in there and not one real word out of their mouth about anything. They would talk about being abused by women, but how were they going to measure up so they didn't get the abuse anymore? They didn't call it abuse. They just said she has a sharp tongue and she criticizes and she does this. And the feedback they would get from the group, well, pray for her and
Right.
and keep your anger in check, but not a single word about shutting down the abusive behavior.
Mm.
That is not in their wheelhouse at all. So the marriages continue to fail. How does it affect men and women? I think underneath romance, you do have misogyny, and you're going to have it. Because anytime you put somebody in a role that I've got to take care of you and please you and make you happy, and it's nothing's about me, it's all about you. My dreams don't matter. My ambitions don't matter. The things that make me happy don't matter. It's all you, baby. Who can do that for 20 years without being resentful? So what I always say is that
Right.
you scratch a traditionalist, and underneath you'll find a misogynist every time.
Right. Yeah, no, the simp men are the rudest to me. Like it's not even close.
And
It's
you
not
can feel the
the
rage.
yeah, yeah. Yeah, they're always the ones like taunting me. Why don't you get offline? Get back in the kitchen. Da, 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 da." And I'm like, what? I'm like, then why are you like debating me? Why are you here? Like, then go home.
Maybe it's because you were busy working.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I've never really, for the most part, like most of the misogynistic creators have been the nicest to me.
Hello.
Yeah, yeah.
Like I always say, if you scratch a people pleaser, you'll find a people hater under time. Because if your whole life is about making people happy, you cannot not resent that at
Right.
some point. So these guys, oh, I'm just happy to let her walk on me. No, they're not. They end up killing their wives sometimes.
So, what do you think when a woman's mouthing off? Should the guy leave or should he put her in check?
Both.
Okay. How?
Well, leaving is a statement all on its own, but
Yeah.
I think it's better when you accompany I don't let anybody talk to me this way. This ain't happening. Bye. Come back when you can act like a grown up and dress her down right there in public. I've done it.
Wow. Yeah, I've never heard a church guy do that.
Oh no, and they wouldn't approve of it
Yeah.
in church. You're just supposed to pray for her and you bend over harder
Mhm.
a little more, let her have a little more, take care of her a little better, which of course, feeding abusive behavior, uh, that just doesn't seem like a real smart idea by rewarding abusive behavior with more effort
Well,
on your
that's
part.
that's the other thing. They keep saying men man up and marry anyway, but I'm like, what incentive would women have to change if we keep getting rewarded for it?
They're not,
None.
and it's why this kind of change is so hard. I mean, look, like I said, I wasn't being facetious. I do feel for women in this. I think the infantilization of women is the worst thing we've ever done to them. We have absolutely ruined their potential in many ways by not having women be accountable for anything. I can't tell you how many guys have told me I was married for 25 years. She never once said I'm sorry about anything, ever. I mean, over and over again, I've heard this. It won't admit they're wrong. Um, and we have facilitated that in women. Men have reinforced this
Mm.
for a very long time. And they'll enforce it on each other. If your guys in church were to hold a woman accountable and say, wait a minute, all right, you were a porn star 6 weeks ago. So why don't we wait about 6 years and see how you're doing then before we really evaluate how you are? You're not going to hear that because that would be holding her to account for her past.
Should I believe it? Let her go to a missionary for 3 years.
Yes.
I would maybe after 3 years of missionary work, I would still be skeptical, but you wouldn't see.
And there would still be a lot of other testing to do
Yeah.
to find out what her character's really like. But no, it's she shows up in church and says, I'm saved. What she was 5 minutes ago doesn't matter. And the men will turn on each other. If a single one of them says, wait a minute, let's hold back here just for a moment, the rest of the men will converge on him.
Oh my gosh. I'll pray for you. They'll die on the hill of a porn star and then say, like, all the Catholics like got together to decide if they should debate me. Isn't that crazy? I was like, what crime have I committed?
Debate Pearl.
I don't know. Maybe I'm not. I wouldn't say I'm a good Catholic, but I'm like, I go to mass, like once a month, maybe more sometimes. Depends how much I travel. But I'm like, what did I do? I didn't commit a crime. There's no porn of me on the internet. There's no like, what was my? But they'll treat you like a demon while dying on the hill of a porn star. I'm like, really? All the strong men had to debate, like to get together and talk if they could talk to me? What?
And then they'll tell you, I don't know what this gynocentrism is you're talking about. What is that stuff? I mean, it's like the amount of blindness and denial in this is just staggering.
It's so crazy. I was like, damn, they treat me like a demon. What did I do?
You questioned the gynocentric narrative.
Yeah.
I mean, and I'll give you a compliment on this. There's been many females get into this space. Only a very small handful of them really get down to the stuff we're talking about. Mm-hmm. Most of them avoid it, and it's sort of like what they're doing is they enter the men's right space because they have some sort of fantasy about getting men back up on their white stallions they want the men of old sort of thing. And red pill men are not buying that as a narrative, but that's what they're looking for. And then they get frustrated by it, and then they start trying to rearrange the furniture, and the guys aren't going to go for that. And then they get mad, and we got one of them out there now. I won't even say her name, but she's just running around everywhere.
Can we?
Okay. Hi, Natty.
Oh, Natty. I thought you were going to say Lauren Southern. That's
no.
Or Sydney Watts. I thought you were going to say one of them.
Yeah, they're both 20 minutes ago.
Okay. Natty? Who's Natty? I don't know who that is.
Natty Khadifa. She used to work with Aaron Pitsey, and
I know her.
She's now calls herself formerly an MRA, and she jumps onto threads and bad mouths red pill men. And,
oh, no way.
Yeah.
I don't know who she is.
Yeah, she doesn't matter, but that's what happens a lot. But there's Janice Fiamingo, Karen Strawn, Allison Tiemann. I can count them on one hand of women that actually get into this space and talk about the stuff that is really impacting men. Most of them that get into this space are really interested in what impacts them.
Yeah. Well, I was just curious because, I just felt like the first time I heard Kevin Samuels, I was like, I've never heard that point of view before. That's so interesting. I couldn't stop watching. And then it's just like a rabbit hole. You're like, oh, that's what's going on in society. And yeah, I think it's really freeing as a woman, to be honest, because I'd rather like know what's going on and then you can act accordingly. But when they're lying to you, you can't make a good decision without all the information. And that's what I think is mean about the trad cons, is they don't give men the right information. They lie. And
they
that's
refuse
what I refuse
to. They want to avoid the right information. They don't want men having that or thinking about it. Excuse me.
So I was like, even if I had a 1% chance, if I had a 1% chance of getting divorce rates, if I was a girl and I had that, like, if I was a guy and I had the same, I had a 1 out of 100, there's a chance that she can steal your children, put you on child support for 8, like, ruin your entire life, call you an abuser. I'm like, would I do, even if it was just one, I don't think I'd do it.
And the fact is that the state puts that gun in every woman's hand.
Yeah.
Whether they use it or not, you don't know, but they have the gun. And a lot of guys are starting to say, I'm not doing the gun.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter. I don't need to test her character. I'm not getting involved with somebody that can shoot me at any moment that she gets an urge.
Yeah.
And that's what they're dealing with. And these tradcons do not want guys hearing that.
Mm-mm.
They want to pretend like the gun doesn't exist.
Yeah, and I just think it's lying. That's what I don't like. They'll create, and I get frustrated with academics because we all know that men, they do not fund men's studies. We all know this. Like, and if you actually were on the ground asking people these questions, I didn't come into this with all the same opinions, but you learn, like, I didn't think marriage was this bad of a deal, but it's like you interview 10 men, same story. She stole the kids. More than half my shit. I'm on child support for 16 years. Some of them had a kid that left the country. It's like, You're like, huh, would I sign up for this? I don't, and there's something, I'm sure you've had this, but like when you interview a guy who, it's like he's already dead inside, like that, like some of the guys I've interviewed, if they committed suicide in the next 2 years, I wouldn't really be surprised because it's like they just love their children. Like their children, you could just tell that was their world. Their family was everything to them. And one guy I interviewed, it's like he had tears in his eyes and he's saying, my kids are 2 miles from me and I can't see them. And you guys just say marry anyway. I can't in good faith like do that.
So for Tim and Andrew and Ben Shapiro and Jordan Peterson and Knowles and the whole crowd, fix the fucking courts and then sell marriage. But if you're selling marriage and ignoring what's happening in the courts, it's an evil. It's an evil.
Yeah.
It's an evil thing to do. It's like giving somebody an addictive drug or something that's going to harm them, not telling them about the side effects, not acknowledging them. It is evil. And these guys are doing it every day and they're monetizing it. It's horrible, in my opinion.
Yeah, I agree. And that's what I question if they know. Maybe they're just ignorant. I don't know. But I don't think you can see what I've seen and what you've seen and what he's seen and push it as a solution. And that was the other thing. I at first thought that, oh, why don't you just, well, obviously you guys are marrying, I would watch Fresh and Fit and think, oh, well, they're Miami whores. Of course they're going to do that. Until, I even thought back to my childhood. One of my childhood friends, I was like, oh, her dad was enlisted, wasn't he? And her mom said he was an abuser. I wonder if that was even true. It wasn't. And that was I like went back and asked her and she's like, oh no, she's loony, but it's like the rumor gets out, but the truth doesn't always get around because it doesn't have the same effect. We saw that with Crowder.
Truth runs into gynocentrism. It runs into sugar and spice. And, can't say that. I'll say, okay, he's an abuser. That's the easy, simple answer to everything. And I don't see why men do it anymore. And they're increasingly dropping out. And I encourage them to. And I get a lot of pushback on that from people that say, "Oh, don't give up on marriage. It's it's what has kept the fabric of society together for all these thousands of years is the family unit and the marriage, and we need to preserve that." Well, if you had balls and if you had any interest in the truth, you would preserve that by fixing the family courts, by electing politicians who would fix the family courts. They don't care. They don't care. They got their narrative. Guys are supposed to get married. They're supposed to have families. They're supposed to follow the whatever religion of choice these people have, and they're just supposed to shut up and obey. And it's like, I don't see how they do that and look at themselves in the mirror. I don't get it, honestly. Well, and I think they're well-intended in some ways. But it's just like, how can you on earth do this? It's just mind-blowing.
Well, and it's just the stats. Even if you just look outside, it's not in our favor. I mean, when do you ever walk into a house and it's decorated the way the man wants? Ever? Yours? But that's an exception. Not
Yeah.
there's a reason. Like you go into a house, it's always live, laugh, love signs. No guy wants that bullshit in his house.
Oh, no.
And I'm like, how many women actually serve their husband? Like the way that traditionalists say they're supposed to. You're supposed to be obedient to him in all things. How many of them raise the kids the way he wants? How many of them are in the school system and the parenting style that he wants, the house that he wants, the meals? How many learn his foods that he wants to eat? It's like none. And I'm not saying if you're not a traditionalist, you want more of a partnership type. I'm not against that either. But
what's interesting is that I think that the partnership, what I've arranged in my life, is really the tradition that I like. It is a tradition. Women working and contributing and carrying responsibility and having authority and responsibilities in the home, that was the traditional arrangement for thousands of years. That didn't end until romantic chivalry entered the picture. And it started eroding that relationship. And now it's like, well, Your Honor, he slapped me once. No, I didn't call the police. Judges, boom, give her all the money.
Talked to one guy. She said he raped her the first time they hooked up 13 years ago. And then they had 2 kids out. It was either 1 or 2 kids. Really? Why would you keep? It doesn't really.
So she had children with her rapist.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, sure. Why not?
Like, huh.
Maybe he was saved.
I'm like, and they show you the court documents too, a lot of these guys. And everyone keeps saying, oh, that's just an anecdote. But I'm like, how many states do I have to go in? I want to do, I'm probably going to do a video while I'm here that says, change my mind, you can legally kidnap a child. I bet you I'll get men left and right that sit down. It won't even, it's like every other guy. Or
they're not going to try to change your mind.
Yeah, no. Well, maybe a woman might. We'll see.
Oh, yes. A woman not, because all those guys are just anecdotes. I mean, anything that doesn't fit the narrative. I mean, you've got a narrative that is so ingrained, the romantic narrative in people's minds, that they lose their minds over it. You can't have an honest discussion about child abduction because of the narrative. You can't have an honest discussion about family courts or about the nature of divorce or what actually happens in them. You can't talk about women's nature, honestly, what women are like, or even what men are like, for that matter. You can't have an honest discussion about any of it. So everything has to be lied about when romantic chivalry is the model.
And you really put all of this back down to romantic chivalry.
I do.
Really?
Yes, I do. I think when you've got a servile model for men,
because it's a servile. Okay, sorry. Keep going.
this crazy sort of everything is about the woman. Everything is about her happiness, her needs, her ambitions, her wants, her desires. Everything is about her. Nothing is about him. That is a sick model, fundamentally. It's very sick. It's very destructive. How can a man maintain self-respect doing that? The answer is he can't. So he has to stuff that and then stuff everything else. And he ends up bitter and angry and resentful and I think self-loathing at times. How can you have a functional society? We're finding out now, finally. It was in the 1800s before we really had the romantic model take over marriage in the West. And we've done nothing but decline ever since. It doesn't work. And then when you add the courts to that equation, and the courts are in the romantic chivalry model. The guy's got to provide no matter what. I don't care if she's got $10 million and you make $30,000 a year, we're going to take half of it and give it to her. That's what they do. As long as we're operating like that, we can't expect that things get better. And I don't think relationships between the sexes are going to get better.
Yeah, and you can work from home now too. So I'm like, what
Oh
is
my
it?
God, you can do
I
all
used
kinds.
to I used to have like a call center, like I would do call center
Yeah,
job, and it paid I think over 22 to 25 an hour. This was like 5 years ago before inflation.
yep.
I mean, that's not bad, you know. You can do that 5 hours a day with kids
Yes,
at
you
school.
can. Well, but a real man wouldn't let you do that. A real man would
Like,
take care of you
is,
to a level you didn't need to do that.
is that hard? It's like not hard.
Well, it's not a matter of that. It's just unfair. You can't expect women to work and help with
To
money,
do
or
things. They used to like basket weave, didn't they?
again. I think we already covered that Oprah comes on it too. I mean, this is, what are you going to do? You can't work through that. But this is what men believe is the way things are supposed to be done. Most of
Yeah.
them.
And so 1,000 years ago, what was she doing? I'm just curious. Like, what would the average wife do?
All kinds of things. I mean, you can look at scripture in the Bible, not to get religious about it, but there's all kinds of stuff in Proverbs 31 about duties of wives, and they had to make money
Mm,
for the family. They had to do all kinds of responsibilities. Women, we didn't have a push button world. I
yeah.
mean, it was rough, and your lives were short and hard, and women had to put their shoulder to the wheel just like men. And romantic chivalry dictated, oh, woman's shoulder to the wheel. No, not to my
Oh,
wife.
oh, because he's serving her now.
Yes, it's
Right.
his shoulder that belongs on the wheel, not hers.
Not both of you. Because really, traditionalism is about the family. So you'd be working for the family. And now it's he's working for the family, not both of you together.
The real traditionalism, the traditionalism that came from 200,000 years of human existence
Hmm.
that led through the Middle Ages up to the point that we got romantic chivalry, the tradition was two working, obligated, responsible people.
Hmm.
Romantic chivalry flipped that completely and gave women basically time to think of things to complain about.
That's true.
and they did.
Yeah, they did.
And they still are.
That's why they say that idle mind is the devil's playground. I think that's what's happened to us. Is we just have too much time, so we just have time to complain. There's never a plan. Even there's this women's leadership conference, and I tweeted, I said, conservative women aren't conservative. Why do you think women should lead? and
Did you get a straight answer?
yeah, well, they said, well, we're speaking out about IVF, about, child daycare, da 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 da. And I'm like, well, speaking out isn't a plan. I mean, I'm not saying it's wrong per se, but I'm like, plan anything? But that's all we do. We just complain.
Speaking out is a plan when you've actually got something to say.
Yeah.
I think that speaking about men's issues out loud is a plan
Mm-hmm.
because you're disrupting the narrative, you're making people think, and it is persuading them. It's actually changing minds. Girl power. Whose mind is girl power going to change?
Well,
I mean, what provocative, cutting edge
yeah.
social change is there for girl power or women in leadership? Red pill women. Now
Yeah.
that would be speaking to effect and to
Yeah.
purpose, which is what you do. I think it's great.
Yeah.
And yes, I get called a simp every once in a while because I support your work. That's okay. I can handle it, guys. Call me
Yeah.
a simp.
Well, yeah. I don't know. I think most conservative women aren't really conservative because they don't talk about what they're conserving. And they don't, if you're really going to go back to what the Bible teaches, it's obedience to your husband in all things. And those are the same women that say, I can only be obedient to him if he's obedient to God. Well, who dictates that? It's always the woman.
And she decides whether
Yeah.
he's obedient to
Yeah.
God, of course.
So I defined the red pill as men getting together and sharing notes on sexual and dating strategy. Do you agree with that description, or do you think the red pill is more than sexual and dating strategy?
I think it's been convoluted by the PUA community. Originally, the red pill was about more MGTOW type stuff. Um, I think you've got guys out there, Rolo was one of them, that turns it into how to
My biggest fan.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Mine too. Rollo's great about telling guys how to stay on a hamster wheel to keep their wife happy.
Is that how you view it? Like a hamster wheel?
I think the whole thing of romantic chivalry puts men on a hamster wheel.
Because that's still trying to appease her.
Which makes Rollo about as red pill as your average feminist, in my book.
Okay.
Not red pill, but just another way to repackage chivalry and sort of throw in some red pill jargon. But ultimately, it's about you're going to maintain her attraction to you for 50 years, and she's always going to be thirsty for you. And that sort of it's like, remember the old ads were on the back of comic books where a guy gets sand kicked in his face on the beach and he sends off with a He-Man packet, and next scene in the cartoon, he's muscled up, kicking sand in the guy's face, and getting his revenge. That's Rollo's work to me. It's not red pill.
And it's because it's still it's still appeasing romantic chivalry.
Absolutely.
Because that's, a lot of it uses PUA type stuff. I think the way he would view it is it's like a tool set, right?
Probably, yeah.
But you would say that it's like a bad tool set, or what do you?
I think it's a terrible tool. Life on a hamster wheel is stupid. Okay. It's a stupid way to go. It's just not very bright.
Because you're always trying to appease the women. You're
people pleasing, and you're behaving, trying to get somebody else to care about you. And if you got to get on a hamster wheel to feel cared about, I would just challenge any guy to think about that for a little bit, if that's what he really wants. I think the red pill now, and always was about self-discovery. Who am I away from women? What are my values? Am I going to live by them? That sort of thing. And having the courage and the information to assert that in life, to tell people, something, I don't rescue women from their own mistakes. I don't believe you should. I think they need to face consequences for what they do, because that's their only hope of learning anything. And separating yourself from the whole gynocentric romantic chivalry claptrap that people find themselves in. I don't think it's about dating strategy. Men have been doing dating strategy, forever. All men have different strategies trying to get women to like them. If your idea of red pill is trying to get a woman in bed, I think you're missing the point of the red pill entirely. Your blue pill, when what hoops do I jump through to get her to like me? That's very blue pill. How about liking yourself? And if she does, great. And if she doesn't, you can go next.
Right. Huh. I've never thought about it like that. That's really interesting. Because, wow, I've never thought about how that ties into romantic chivalry. That's like a really good point, because it goes back to the romantic model instead of, what would you say, like, because I guess my question would be, what are guys supposed to do in a way? Because they still have to date in this modern age, It's not like,
Well, a lot of them aren't.
Well, I guess arranged marriages aren't coming back. So if a guy wants like a relationship with women, like what is he?
Well, I think he's good if he approaches relationships with women as I say ABS, always be screening. If the attitude is, how do I get next to women that are decent, instead of how do I get next to a woman who will have sex with me? Okay. Which is most guys, true to the cliche, they're like, oh man, she's hot. She's got a nice ass. I want to get her in bed. What do I need to say? Where do I spend my money? Yeah. What do I do? And of course, that is simping. That it's romantic chivalry in practice. He's already gearing up to be on his knee with a diamond in his hand by approaching the relationship like that to begin with. I just say, man, focus on your self-respect. Find out who you are. There will be somebody out there. I believe that, and call me idealistic. I found somebody. I think anybody can, but you have to close the door on bullshit. this romantic chivalry. And there are women out there that are open to the message.
Mhm.
How many times have you heard a woman say, that guy bought me dinner and then he thought I owed him sex?
Yeah.
Well, pay for your own dinner. Then you don't have to worry about that.
Yeah.
You've got an asshole like that
Yeah.
on every corner.
Yeah.
Those guys are real. They exist. So don't let them buy your dinner.
Yeah. Well, you don't have to accept dinner. You could just suggest like coffee or
Yeah,
something cheap, you know?
or anything. Or you can
Yeah.
suggest sex.
Okay.
And that's okay. But
Yeah.
no, I really think this whole thing, men are visually oriented. They see a woman,
Yeah.
and then the gears start turning. And they're all about romantic chivalry, even when the guy's totally unconscious of it. How do I please her? How do I make her happy? I got to be the right thing. You get lost doing that. I hear women all the time saying, I lost myself in a relationship. And I'm like, bullshit. Men lose themselves in relationships.
Right.
And they end up lonely and devastated. And when she leaves, their lives are the most empty thing in the world.
Well, why would you want to be with a guy that lets you act anyway? And
They
wouldn't
don't.
leave?
They lose
Yeah.
respect for those
Yeah.
guys. It's enjoyable at first. It's really enjoyable while there's infatuation going on. There's a flood of oxytocin and other neurochemicals that make a person feel good. That behavior feels great then to both people.
Mhm.
But that neurochemical flood subsides
Mm.
and goes away. And then you're left with, I'm jumping through hoops.
Right.
And she's like, he's not jumping through hoops anymore.
Yeah. What age do you think do men ever wake up? And if so, what age do they tend to wake up?
50,
50.
55 maybe.
That old. Wow.
It was post 50 fully waking up. I I woke up partially in 93 reading Farrell's book and getting involved in this stuff. But the real red pill lessons didn't sink in for me until late 40s, early 50s. That's when it really started gelling. And it's like, that sounds unfortunate because, you don't get that in your youth, but it's actually a really good time in life. It's not bad at all. It's a wonderful time to really come into who you are, to discover what your own values are, what your own desires are, and to make a commitment if you want to share life with somebody, to find somebody that gets on that train with you. But getting on her train is a death sentence every time for men. And that is the thing they have the most trouble learning. Never let a woman lead a relationship.
We don't like to either.
No.
We don't even know we don't like to. But
But you don't respect a guy that lets it happen.
I don't think most women can identify it. I think women, it's like we might feel it, if that makes sense. Like, because I'll hear women. I watch women's TikToks a lot, and I'll use them as like examples for my shows and like what she's saying. And I think women, we rationalize things that don't even make sense. So maybe the outcome will be like something eventually, but I don't think a lot of chicks see it coming. I don't think women like think about getting on a guy's program. We think about what we want.
And I think it's all sort of automatic. It's not very thoughtful. But in the end, when guys turn over the reins of a relationship to a woman, it's over.
Yeah.
At that moment, they should leave then, because it's only going to hurt more further down the road when they spend the time trying to get the reins back with feeble attempts. It doesn't work.
Yeah.
The first time she gets control of the relationship, it's over.
So there is a lot of debate about which relationship model works best for couples. A traditional one, modern, or something in between. I don't think we'll be reviving traditional relationships anytime soon. So that leaves me wondering what might work now while we're waiting for the return of a more sane society of the future.
Luck. Good luck. I don't think there's a formula for what works. People are different. A traditional relationship, in terms of what I call modern traditionalism, the romantic chivalry, for some people that might work. It has a real high divorce rate and a real high acrimony rate. I mean,
romantic? Wait, say that again.
Romantic relationships are embittered by nature.
Yeah.
They like I said, anytime a guy is in a position that he's basically her butler, uh, not her man, he's going to end up resentful in that. And I've seen it over and over again in sessions with men, guys finally realizing how angry they were, not even knowing just how pissed off they've been for years at all the abuse and everything that happened in the relationship. But I think that what works for people is values. If you've got values and you lead with them, you got a good shot.
What type of values? Can I have some examples?
Um, Accountability
Hmm.
is a value. I mean, I struggled with my partner for years, and I mean, I've had my own struggles, especially when I was younger, with accountability. It's a bear for everybody. But she was not used to a man that would not let her off at all. I mean, and I didn't give an inch of slack on anything. You
Can
treat
can I have an example of maybe like a specific instance, maybe from early on?
uh, little moments here and there of sort of casual disrespect, a little snide remark, this sort of thing. I made a commitment to myself before I got involved for what I wanted to be a long term relationship. I wasn't putting up with any of that. I didn't care if it was a grocery store, restaurant, whatever.
Hmm.
You talk to me with disrespect, you're going to get dressed down every time that it happens. I don't care if it's slight, no slack whatsoever. And I'm not going to let it go until you own it, period. And if you don't like that, enjoy your life. No hard feelings. But that's the way it is. That I think is really important, especially for men to understand. As men, their biggest crippling factor for men is that they run on the delusion that if I treat you a particular way, she'll treat me back with the
Hmm.
same way. If I love her this way romantically, she's going to give that back. It doesn't work. If I respect her, she's going to respect me. It doesn't work that way. You have to command respect with everybody. I won't let anybody disrespect me. I don't care who they are. It makes no difference. I fired clients for disrespecting me.
Wait, what did they do?
Just not wanting to face the truth and then blaming me for challenging them.
That's so funny. Goodbye.
and so rather than grab a hold of what was happening, is like, oh, you suck. Okay, see ya.
Wow. Yeah, no, I think I don't know. Men have just been trained from such a young age to accept complete disrespect, and women do it in the sneakiest, like most snide ways. Where even in the like debates I've done, I'm like, what did she just say? You know,
Oh yeah, the passive aggressive stuff, and
I'll
that,
pray for you. I hate that one.
you know what that
I
is?
want
That's
them,
fuck you.
yeah, I want them to take their purse and shove them up their ass. I don't
Yeah,
want their prayers.
it's like I'll pray for you means I'm condescending towards you, and I think you're a piece of shit or whatever. And just the idea of saying I'm going to cloak all that stuff in prayer in a statement about prayer. It's like, oh yeah, you're real deep. Uh,
Like I heard something. I pray for my enemies. Do you?
I do sometimes. Uh, I mean, I do.
Yeah,
Um, I don't let my enemies treat me with disrespect, though,
yeah.
or anybody else.
But it's like, why do they have to tell you that?
Well, again, I don't think they're saying that.
Yeah.
I think they're saying I'm a Christian, so I can't say fuck you, so I'll say I'll
Yeah.
pray for you.
That was the biggest red pill was when I realized that all these Christian women, and you know, I noticed it from the time I was young, but I couldn't articulate what it was. But a lot of them only use religion as a way to look good, not be good.
Yep.
So if you're a Christian, I should be able to tell by your actions, not by you saying that you're a Christian. I should be able to tell just by the way you treat people.
And you can. And again, this for me, this goes back to the onus being on men for their decisions. They don't hide this stuff. I mean, if you are any way cognizant of what's going on with people, they would look at that woman saying, "I'll pray for you," and they know what it means.
Mm.
That doesn't mean she's not going to pray for you. She might pray for something bad to happen to you,
Yeah.
but she's not going to pray for you. That was just an insult. And there are A million guys out there would say, well, but she said she was going to pray for you. What do you do with those guys?
She said she quit porn.
Yeah, she did before she raised her prices.
What's worse, a simp or a whore?
Simp. Every time. A simp. Whores are acting like whores because they get encouraged to. They're raised, nothing they can do is wrong. They can't be chastised. They can't be corrected. Men are raised to be more responsible than that. So I put the onus on them. A whore I can get rid of in 2 minutes. I'll know she's a whore in 2 minutes and I can be gone. A guy reveals his simping by opportunity. So you have to sort of wait and watch it, because all guys will talk tough about, well, I wouldn't take that from a woman. Is she listening? I've seen that a million times.
Yeah.
Yeah. So for me, simping.
Do you think there's any point in long-term relationships today?
Yeah. I think I've had the benefits of a long-term relationship myself, many of which I would even find hard to articulate, but it's good. It's been an absolute asset in my life, a lifesaver in many ways. I wouldn't trade it for anything. I think there's a point. I think there's a problem, though, in making it happen. And again, I don't want to beat the dead horse anymore, but it goes back to the same fundamental problems. How do you make long-term work when long-term means you're on a hamster wheel and she's on a cushioned sofa? That doesn't work long-term. You have to find a woman that can understand that and wrap her head around it. And that isn't easy.
You have a website called XY Crew where you schedule regular meetings for men to talk with each other with no women around. How do men act differently when women aren't around? And how can men join?
They're more honest. Now, I got to say, this group of guys, though, they would probably be extra honest if there was a woman around. So it's a little bit different with red pill guys. But the beautiful thing about it is that they really enjoy it. They enjoy the space without women listening, because the truth is a dynamic. You can have a room with 20 guys in it. One woman walks in and the entire dynamic changes in the whole room. Yeah. Language changes. Guys start sucking in their bellies and puffing their chest out a little bit more, get their posture improves. They're looking around to see if she's looking. I mean, that's what happens. So we have an environment where there's no woman there. The guys are relaxed. And it's really great for them to not feel crazy, to be able to talk about what they really think about everything that's going on in their lives, and nobody's trying to tell them to man up. Nobody's shaming them.
Or saying, you shouldn't say it like that.
Oh, yes. It wasn't what you said, it's how you said it. Yeah, another dribble like that. Yeah, I said it straight out and honest, which is what you didn't like.
I need to remember some of these comebacks. These are funny.
Well, you get enough practice, you get a lot of comebacks.
Yeah. I'm like, that's it's how you said it.
Yes, it's how you said it, which is you put one word right after another, which is how people say things.
Yeah.
And you said what you thought, and you weren't supposed to do it that way. You were supposed to cushion the blow, candy coat it.
Yeah.
And I'm a firm believer that if you want sugar coated, go to get a donut.
Well, thank you very much for coming on today. This has been a pleasure. What do you think about, I guess, how can people sign up for it's called XY Crew?
Yeah, they can go, one thing they can do right now is go to paulelam.com/XY Crew. And give you a whole description of what we do. It's basically daily men's group meetings. We're meeting live this year in Southwest Michigan for a week in August. Our get-togethers are legend. They're absolutely amazing. We're just a bunch of guys having a party that lasts for a week and enjoying each other's company and feeling heard.
Yeah.
It's amazing what that does. What happens to men when you just let them talk and encourage the truth about everything, it is amazing what happens to them psychologically. It's been a wonder to watch this thing. But yeah, let me say it again, paulelam.com/XY crew.
Well, thank you very much for coming. I've been a fan forever, so it's so nice to meet you in
Fan
person.
right back at you.
Guys, make sure you go subscribe to his channel, sign up for the men's group, and most importantly, like the video on your way out and sign up to the audacitynetwork.com. Get our yearly membership if you can. We are currently demonetized, so signing up for the memberships really helps do more of these interviews.
Get used to that.
Yeah, I know. Freaking A. Like the video, subscribe. We'll talk to you next time.